What's up, Internet? It's me, Todd Beardsley. I'm here joined today for this Team System webcast with my new friend, Marco Strambelli. Hi, Marco.
Hello, Todd. Thank you for having me.
Oh, please. It's my pleasure. It's much later in the day for you than it is for me. So we'll get through this quick. Uh, the purpose of this webcast, we don't do too many of these. This is not my usual runZero hour gig that I do with Rob King. This is purely zeroing in on basically customer testimonials of people who use and I hope like runZero as a product, as a solution, as a problem solver. And so today I wanted to share with everyone, you, Marco, and your story at Team System, and how you used runZero. And let me just say hi to the chat. Hi, chat. Chat's open. And so if you have any questions or anything, and you're watching this contemporaneously on the Zoom, then chat away in there. And haha, you win, Alexander. You're the first AI spammer. um, we will be deleting all these AI notifications. Please turn off your AI note taker and don't tell the host and panelists, and certainly don't tell everyone that you are taking AI notes because it's irritating. Let's get into it. So Marco, I did do the barest bit of research on you personally, and I see that your hobbies include fishing with a PH, playing chess, and replaying my password. So I'm guessing you have a bit of an offensive security background. Is that accurate?
Yes, I have. Like before working in TeamSystem, I was a security consultant in another Italian company, and
Mhm.
over there I found amazing people that taught me how to bad stuff in a good way, for good
Mhm.
reason. So yes,
So you're not going to be admitting to any crimes today.
not today, not
Okay.
not here at least.
All right. All right. All right. All right. No, that I saw that. I'm like, oh, okay. This I can talk to this guy. I too have a bit of an offensive security background. I am somewhat notorious for admitting to crimes on encrypted. This Zoom is end-to-end encrypted, so like if you want to, it's fine, it's free. But maybe don't. So what's your role there at Team System? You know what? Let me back up. What is Team System?
Fair enough. So TeamSystem is, of course, an Italian company and is leader in digital services. Mainly our customers are small and medium enterprises like
Mhm.
accounting, organizations, and you like our area are like tax, HR,
Okay.
accounting, and
So
we
like
do
back
all these
office
kind of
stuff.
softwares. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool, cool. And then what's your role there?
Well,
Hacking
I'm a
things?
security specialist here, so
Uh-huh.
I take care of all the attack surface. This can be cloud, the external, internal, and of
Mhm.
course, I'm the man who takes care of the phishing simulations here in the
Okay.
system. Social engineering is always important, and someone has to do it. So
Someone does have to do it. Um,
yes,
is it so so you're in, I'm gonna guess, and also I've looked it up. You're in Italy, right? Is there I'm not crazy familiar with European regulations and rules and laws and all that. Is there a European, are you, when you do phishing simulations and social engineering, is this in service of like a compliance or regulatory requirement? Or
yes, it
is
is.
it just to be good at security?
No, it is. We have like regulations that makes mandatory for companies to have like awareness training, but
Okay.
also phishing simulations and so on.
Yeah,
So yes,
I think basically every jurisdiction has that now. So cool, cool, cool. And so so in your role as a, security professional, a defender nominally, not an offender anymore. Um, what what are the challenges that you ran into at Team System? Um, before you had runZero like at your disposal?
So when I joined TeamSystem,
Hmm.
TeamSystem was in the middle of a big transformation
Okay.
because the company uh, just was renovating itself. uh, New money, big money were coming in for others
Mhm.
for new from new investors, and this required us to like step up and like being way more mature in the cybersecurity field than it was
Okay.
before. Because before
Mhm.
it was not as big. Then
Sure.
it was growing at an incredible pace, and uh, new skills were required, new
Hmm.
competencies. So like at that moment, of course, this system had many customers and different ways of doing businesses, and this created a very mess, let's say, in asset inventory, in end of life assets, and how to
Right.
handle them, and all
So
this
when you
kind of.
so when you let me interrupt you. If you so when you say transformation, do you really mean like you don't just mean like, oh, we're hiring a ton and we're like just growing our business. Like you're talking specifically about like acquiring other companies, right? Or like acquiring
It
chunks
was a
of
necessity
okay.
when the strategy became like, okay, like this system was based in Italy,
Hmm.
but I talk as we wanted to like have new presence in Europe.
Hmm.
So the best way, the easiest way to do something like this is, okay, let's acquire equivalent companies like TeamSystem, more or less,
Sure.
that do our job in other countries.
Sure.
So let's grow in this way. So TeamSystem started like acquiring here and there, and now we
Uh,
have a presence in Spain, France, Turkey, North Europe,
mhm.
and and this all happened like in a very short period of time.
I mean,
So
good problem to have, right?
yeah, it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge
Yeah. Cool.
for the
So like
management, for us.
go ahead. I'm sorry, say that again.
It was a big challenge for the
Uh,
management and for us, of course. It's
right, 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 right. And so like those challenges, right? Like what is the kind of thing that you would run into, like especially from a security point of view, but maybe also as like a business continuity point of view. Do you know what I mean? Like when you pick up a new company, like a whole new company that has been doing their thing and they've been growing and they've been hiring and they've been like acquiring a bunch of computers and routers and switches and such, right? They all have physical assets. How like do you so what challenge so I guess specifically like do you have any like challenges that you ran into when you show up on Monday morning and you're like, oh hey Marco, we have 50 new users and I don't know, maybe a couple hundred new assets, you tell me, like is that the kind of thing that you would be dealing with?
Yes, it is. And well, we are not talking about hundreds, maybe we are talking about thousands of new
Okay,
assets
okay.
or new domains and subdomains and so on.
Hmm.
And like, I think that we should start from a very important point that is
Hmm.
when we acquire a new company
Hmm.
and the news comes out, we are aware that suddenly that company becomes a very interesting target for threat actors
Sure.
because threat actors now know that they can target that company
Hmm.
to target us. And we are
Hmm.
bigger fish, we are the bigger fish, they know it.
Got
So we really need to put this new acquisition in a position where their security is a top level. And
right,
we need to do this in a very short time, period of time.
right.
And we have, when this,
Because
all this,
surely you have some kind of regulatory requirement, right? Like when you're going, like there is an announcement of like intent to acquire. I don't know how it works in Europe, right? But like, I imagine it goes something like, hey, we would like to acquire it, secret, secret, secret. People are talking, people are working on a deal. And then at some point, someone has to say something publicly.
Exactly.
before the acquisition happens. Well, before the full integration happens, I would say. Is that accurate?
Exactly.
Okay.
Before the full integration starts, it is public.
Hmm.
So we have a very short period of time to take action. And
Hmm.
we have like four fundamental tasks
Hmm.
that we want to handle. And these are like full ADR coverage,
Hmm.
um, handling like manage their domains that are
Hmm.
related to SMTP, so mail servers, like what is
Sure.
outbound and inbound. We need to take that domain and put it under some protection because of phishing, because of social engineer. This is important, and we want to do it.
Yeah.
Then we want all the external tag coverage,
Hmm.
because we ask them, okay, what's your surface? We know your primary domain, but
Right.
please, like we ask, take like a list of your domain, share it with us, and we
Hmm.
have a bunch of tools, a bunch of pipelines that we
Right.
run through all your attack surface, and we can immediately take care of your security. Probably there is some low-hanging fruits that we can immediately solve, and then there
Sure.
are dangerous things, of course. And as last thing is we want to know your inventory. We want to know what's inside your network.
What are we
And,
buying? Yes.
and so here is where like runZero really helps us.
So
It
that is
is
my
where it shines. Yeah.
that is my follow-up question for you. As people will notice, I'm a little bit biased. I have a runZero logo right here. What is it about runZero, Marco, that drew you to our offering in this context of like, hey, we are acquiring fully fledged entities, fully fledged companies that have their own security, that have their own way of doing things, that have been doing it for this amount of time. Why run zero? Why not literally anyone else?
Like when I joined TeamSystem 2 years now ago,
Okay.
um, choosing runZero actually was one of my first tasks. At that moment, we had another tool that was Armis.
Hmm.
It is an incredible tool, a very incredible tool. It does a very good job,
Sure.
but it works completely different from runZero.
Hmm.
And Armis requires like gears, proprietary hardware to work. It
Hmm.
does inspection, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful piece of technology. But at that moment, because of all the new acquisitions,
Hmm.
we really needed something that was really easy to deploy.
Okay.
And that was the major feature that led us to in choosing runZero.
Yeah.
And like I did this like this confrontation between these two tools, and in the end, like runZero was the only choice, I would say.
Well, that's lovely to hear. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I've been following, obviously I work here, but I've been following runZero since founding, right? Like, I mean, we go back. And I have always been very impressed personally on like how easy it is to like get going, set up, especially in like a home lab environment, just like screwing around with it. That seems super straightforward. I'm glad to hear that you found it also easy in like a real environment. Um, so so it sounds like you had a bake off with another vendor that did something similar. You found runZero was like easier to deploy. And I'm thinking now of like the context you've already provided of like, oh, well, we have to like move fast. And so it's not just because it's not a function of laziness that makes the easy to deploy like a selling point, but it's the function of like speed and accuracy and like, oh, we have to like parachute in and get good results like right away. Is that a fair way to say? And by the way, audience, I have a list of questions here. we have not discussed this at all. We've never met, have we? Or we have met. Um, but like I'm legitimately like very interested in learning like how that implementation process went. Like, I mean, surely it's not like as easy as like, oh, I just got the email that we acquired a company at, 9 a.m. on a Monday, and by 11 a.m. I know all their assets. Like it's not that, but like how close to that are we?
Well, we are close, but not
Right.
100%. Because I mean, when you have to handle other people's
Mhm.
things are not always like equal. Each company has a different environment, a different way of doing things,
Mhm.
and during an acquisition, the entire organization is shaking because maybe some people are leaving, others are coming in,
Sure.
and so is the interaction between us and the team
Hmm.
and can be difficult also because not all the companies have a dedicated security team. So
Sure.
sometimes we talk with the other folks that they
Mhm.
do securities. Sometimes, most of the times, we find people that maybe do like networking
Sure.
or something like that.
That was my
So
job. Before I was a security person, I was doing security as a network person.
So, like you find yourself maybe using like a vocabulary with some people and other vocabulary with others people because you
Sure.
need to, uh, like the goal is that the right message has to reach the right person.
Mhm.
It is not always obvious that what is for us the priority is for them the priorities. And
Right.
more often than not, we found ourselves in a position where we were waiting for the deploy of the sensors way longer than we expected because
Right.
maybe and sometimes maybe at the beginning we were not good enough in communicating like the urgency of doing
Hmm.
such a thing. Other times was because like the team that maybe is a small team during an acquisition, they suddenly they have tons of things to do.
Right.
And they don't have the right priority on their side. So
Right.
it's not always like really straightforward and something that on the paper is really easy. Like, okay, get this. This is the link. You have just to download the you get runZero
Hmm.
sensor
Hmm.
XXX and just play like the install and it's done.
Right.
On the paper, this is it. And this is why we chose runZero because it's really easy to make it run and go. But it's not always like that. Like sometimes they are skeptic because they are worried that okay, they are stealing, like they are taking over
You're
our
hacking
team.
them, right?
Where
Like,
are we
yeah,
going?
right. And so like this is the part that's like really fascinating to me about this whole like M&A, the merger and acquisition model of using runZero. Like it is like this close to pen testing and this close to like target acquisition. For me when I use it, it feels very similar to like, okay, so I'm in now, and now I'm looking around and looking for good targets. Like that's how using the product feels for me. And hearing your story here, like where you have an acquisition partner. We shouldn't call them targets. It's not that adversarial. You have an acquisition partner who is probably smaller, right? Just probably less sophisticated, like would be fair. Like it's not a ding or anything. It just hasn't been their job. Who you are trying to figure out what is the target space? What are attackers actually going to be going after now that they've probably heard if they haven't heard the news yet that they're part of the TeamSystem family, like they're going to hear about it soon. And so you're kind of under the gun on figuring out like what does the exposure space look like? What does attack surface look like? What are the assets? Um, and it's very interesting to me to hear that this plays out, right? Like over and over and again, at least in your experience, when you're in this kind of mode of growth and acquire style of creating more coverage for you and your customers and your shareholders or whomever is the bosses there. So For the acquisition partners, did you hear anything from them about like, how it went? Because like I assume you're not showing up on site and like doing the install all the time. Like I imagine that happens some of the times. Other times you're like, hey, just go here, click the link, click, 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 right? Like, is it one or the other? Is
Yeah,
it both? Is it?
actually, actually, what we do is we prepared a template where we explained like a documentation how to
Mhm,
install it. We
mhm,
give them like an email with a link that they can have to use, and
mhm,
we actually expect them to do it by themselves.
mhm.
We want
Because you
um,
haven't acquired them yet, right? Like that's kind of the relationship now.
yeah, it's like an hybrid moment where
Yeah.
it's almost done, but maybe
Will
not
they,
really
won't
done.
they?
So, and anyway, we want to empower them because we need their help. Like we cannot be like present in
Yeah.
each on each perimeter because we should hire new people for each perimeter
Right.
otherwise.
Right.
But the team is already there and knows the environment, so we trust them. Like we want to trust them, and we know that they are able to do their job. So we give them all they need. They have the documentation, and we are always at their support, so they can write us. But we do expect them to like make the installation all by themselves.
Okay.
If really something goes wrong because they don't want to do it, they are too busy and so on, of course there is this last like thing. Okay, let's hire a consultant and someone that can help
Yeah.
you.
You're gonna have
We
to have
pay
someone
for
show up
them
on
and so
site,
be
right?
it.
Yeah.
And actually, I want to add maybe that when we, of course, they have access at that point to their organization. It's not
Mm-hmm.
something that they deploy and then we keep runZero just for ourselves. We
Mm-hmm.
immediately give them access, so they
Mm-hmm.
gain the same visibility that we have.
Right.
And sometimes this help, of course, like without talking about the findings and the vulnerabilities feature, even like talking about the visibility point,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes for them is really nice because runZero is really a central point where you really can understand maybe your organization. And if you deploy the sensors in an intelligent way, let's say, maybe respecting your network segmentation,
Mm-hmm.
you also like have the ability to understand, okay, so my network is logically built in this way with this
Mm-hmm.
side, this other side. We really liked the site idea in runZero because it helps us too to understand maybe how mature their network security is.
Right.
So how much segmented is this network? Because
Mm-hmm.
like we strongly believe that segmentation is a foundation part in security. And if you have
Yes. Say,
plain network,
let's
oh my
underline
God.
this for the audience. Segmentation is foundational network security.
And when we see like just a single plain site
Hmm.
that mimics a plain network, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why you're around, though, right? It's kind of fun. Um, so you have this new acquisition partner to be. You're in the state of assessment. You said that you immediately turn around and share access with them so they can see their own things same way you're seeing it. Um, has there been let me ask you this. Like, do you have any recollections of things that you saw during this kind of process? Because you've been through this a few times now. Um, what was the first time you saw something surprising that on the third or fourth time you were no longer surprised? Is that a fair question?
Yes, it is. Like I have to admit, we never had like the oh my God moment,
Okay. Well, that's good.
but luckily for us. However, of course, like bad things always happen. Like each company has its own skeletons. We all
Hmm.
have. It's part of the job. It's how
Yes.
things go. So you can imagine that here, like in 2025, 2026, we still see some Windows XP 20, like
Mhm.
2003, these
Mhm.
really old dinosaurs that we really don't understand how, come on, why are they are these are still there. And fun fact is that most of the times these assets are still up and running only because nobody's taking care of them. But
Mhm.
people are afraid, oh, it's better not turn off this because if it is running, it is for a well reason. We don't
Yeah.
want to touch it.
Yeah.
And then we arrive, and the first thing we say is,
Click.
okay, let's turn it off. Let's see what happens.
Yes.
If it is really important, someone will notice.
And
Otherwise,
the kinds of sites that you're dealing with, right? I'm getting the impression they don't tend to be like manufacturing critical. They're not doing like you're not running pipelines with volatile substances running through them or anything like that, right? Like this is mostly back office, mostly very IT, accountancy, HR kinds of things, right? So like it's so funny to me that like, oh, I have this XP machine. It's been running here, ever since Paolo left 5 years ago, and we don't know what it does. So I can't turn it off. Like that kind of superstition around the network is just hilarious to me. I've not to like, toot my own horn or anything, but I've gotten pretty good at turning things off in my career. But certainly as like a, not necessarily a junior, but maybe like a mid-range career person, right? Like you don't want to take the fall, right? Like maybe if I turn off this one NT40 machine that's been churning away and without issue for 10, 15 years, my business goes away. I don't want to make that call for sure. Um,
like, of course, it's not like the immediate call,
mhm.
but after the first call, the second call, the third call, if
Uh-huh.
nobody is really able to say something about these assets,
Yeah,
at some moment you find yourself in the position where the only way to discover why this is important is,
yeah.
okay, just turn it off and let's see what it breaks.
The thing I tended to do when I used to do stuff like that, so I've worked at like large footprint companies that have like incidentally acquired, like a 2,000 person company. Like, and it was like a footnote, right? I've worked at huge places. And anytime I had to do network assessment and do the security work, like I started it, I'm like you, right? Like I started to just say, like, okay, listen, I'm gonna pull the cable. I'm gonna pull the network cable. I'm not gonna power it off because I don't know if it's gonna come back because everything is rickety and nothing actually works at all. But if I pull the network cable, like that's a fail condition that you should be able to survive, right? And I can pull the cable, I can look around, see what else falls down. Like everybody knows it's going to happen. I have a change control window. I've got a ticket for it. I've got all this stuff. Everybody's ready to rock. Pull the cable, and I'm with you, man. Like 9 times out of 10, nothing happens. Nobody notices. I'll leave the thing running for 2 or 3 days. I'll leave it running over a weekend. No, with no networking. And we notice that it doesn't do anything. So click, and then it goes off. So that tended to be
And,
my way in huge enterprise type situations.
and you can imagine that these really old assets
Hmm.
are the ones with the most vulnerabilities. And when you have to bring these numbers to maybe the board or your
Hmm.
CISO, like these numbers are skyrocketing because of these really old assets that nobody's updating.
Right.
So
Emil's
if you
asks in the chat, was it the firewall?
we see a lot of firewalls, and sometimes we wonder, why do we need so many?
So hang on. Okay. We started the show saying, boy, network segmentation. is crazy important. But now Marco coming in with like, but do we need all these firewalls? That
When they are really too many, it's
uh,
compared to the segmentation that we are seeing at the
I
moment.
see. If
And
you have a firewall in front of your firewall, so you can firewall while you
but
firewall.
sometimes we found ourselves in a position where we discover, let's say, that there were like two, three firewalls used only for staging of testing,
Mhm.
and some rules at some point were even on the firewall that was supposed to be just for testing, that was supposed
Mhm.
to be turned off, but in reality was turned on. So yeah, it's
Yes, the long-lived staging testing environment.
yeah.
I believe I'm with you. Like I've done a little research in this area about, oh, you just lost your light.
Yeah, with
I've
sensors.
Yes. Are you human? You just failed the CAPTCHA for your physical office. Um, so we wrote a paper published a little while ago, just before Halloween, just before Halloween, I think so. Yeah. Um, Called Undead by Design, and it was basically a survey of runZero clients, lots of statistical rigor in there. Go read the paper. But basically, we came down to like, yeah, this testing, this everlasting testing environment tends to be a pretty good source for end of life operating systems, right? And attackers, the boogeymen of our networks, once they have a position in the network, like they don't care if it's production or test, especially if you're using production data in your test environment, naughty naughty. That kind of thing is just catnip. It is so attractive to an attacker because like an attacker can come in and do scans in their own way, right? Same kind of style, right? Of target acquisition. You say asset management, I say target acquisition. And these end of life operating systems just light up, right? Like they are the most attractive targets because they have like the most vulnerabilities typically over time, right? Because you can't patch new things. Your exploit tooling tends to be evergreen. Like you don't have to change much on your exploit tooling for an end of life operating system because it's like almost by definition like frozen in that state. So your tooling can also be frozen in that state, and so you don't have to maintain anything. It's just such a boon for attackers. So um, I'm glad to hear that you're using runZero to find these end of life systems and pull the cable and flip off the power. Like that is like oftentimes, especially in QA environments, like that is the solution, right? In production, it gets a little dicier, right? Because like you might be handcuffed to some particular, very specific, in your case, like HR application that there is no work-alike, or the work-alike is terrible, or the work-alike only runs on Windows and you're on Linux, and that's such a pain to like move from one to the other. So like obviously we're stuck on this forever. But at least you make that informed risk in production, right? And QA, kill it, like kill it dead. Um, that's great. You've warmed my heart.
Something that was unexpected, but not
Mhm.
really a problem,
Mhm.
is that we found also some like unconventional hypervisor. Like for example, we found someone
An
using
unconventional hypervisor. Okay, gotcha.
yeah, someone using Proxmox,
Okay.
and
I
for
have thoughts
example,
about that. Yeah.
runZero is not doesn't have an integration for Proxmox because you also don't expect this Proxmox in an enterprise
Hmm.
environment.
Hmm.
And I don't know, probably someone was just experimenting or playing around. But it was really curious to see Proximus in an enterprise network. It was the first time for me.
Hmm.
And actually, so another thing that happened, and this happened really recently, because I saw the last webinar that you did with the school district, the
Yes.
K-12,
Yes.
and
Huge statewide school district, hundreds and hundreds of sites. Yeah.
over in during that podcast, like a new query was mentioned, like the Security Network Act Section 2, that is like an American policy regulation that you have.
Hmm.
And just out of curiosity, I tried that query on our dashboard,
Hmm.
and actually I found many, like in our case was different, many IP cameras throughout different organizations spread all around Europe, and they were using some IP cameras from this
Hmm.
vendor that was in the banner
It would
list.
have been like High K Vision or Huawei or something like that,
Exactly,
probably, right? Yeah. So,
exactly.
yeah.
And actually, it was a really interesting discovery because I mean, we don't, they are not banned in Europe. Probably not yet, because I heard that
Not yet.
something very similar
Yeah.
is being discussed. So
Yeah.
probably we are expecting a list of banned vendors in the next future. And it was like really nice for me, like discovering that actually we have these vendors already in our companies, in our network. So it was a useful information to have.
Yeah. No, it is useful to know for sure. And the thing you're talking about is our colloquially it's Section 889 coverage. And so there was a national defense spending bill several years ago that essentially criminalized the use of these four vendors that all are Chinese-based vendors for federal networks, right? So if you're running like a like federal government network, so very specific to that. But we found that, and our customers found that the Section 889 coverage tends to be really useful if you're like a state government that mirrors this federal regulation, or you're like you, right? You're an Italian company or private industry, right? Like you don't care. Hikvision all day long. Why not? Or High K Vision, however you pronounce it. Um, but it's still interesting, right? It's like, oh, I didn't realize we had this specific technology that these authorities in the world say they will not use because of risk.
Like the statement that I read was kind of scary because it was really like these vendors pose like a severity danger to the national security, something like that. So I mean, the message was really strong. I mean, I can take it
uh,
seriously.
Sorry, I just had something in the chat asking me like me specifically questions, so I was trying to get them a link. Okay, so you are what I'm hearing is that not only does a run zero like make this weird, awkward phase of acquisition where like you're kind of sussing each other out, and you're like looking each other up and down, thinking like, are we gonna be pals or not? Makes that easier, but also you can uncover interesting things that you didn't even know that you should be asking about your network through some of the run zero things. Is that fair?
Yes, is it fair?
Yeah.
But we can definitely add that since the moment they join like our company,
Hmm.
we our as security team and all our reports, they have also the numbers from these new perimeters. So
Hmm.
we really need to take care of them if we want that our numbers are still compliant with our standards, with our goals.
Right.
So we really need runZero also for
Hmm.
all the findings and vulnerabilities as an inventory in general, not only for
Hmm.
assets, but also for findings and vulnerabilities,
Hmm.
thanks to all the integrations. So we use runZero also as a reporting tool. We use its API, we pull out all the data that
Hmm.
we need, then we
Hmm.
put them in a nice dashboard, and we
Well, that's
can
nice.
discuss and prioritize
Yeah.
and understand where we have to like tackle something that is really important that is not taking into consideration and so on. So
Hmm.
it is really helpful, not only from an inventory point of view for the assets, but also for the vulnerabilities.
Well, that's great. That really warms my heart that you find those kinds of findings useful enough to, wire up some reporting around the API. I really like our API. I think our API is great. Again, I'm a little biased. But like every security company on earth, as far as I can tell, will talk a big game about like, oh yeah, we integrate everything with everything. We do too, right? Like we talk that big game all day long. Will happily take data from something. Most security companies, I think, are very reluctant to share the thing, you know? So like the pull works great. The push out tends to not be so much. So I'm glad to hear that you're able to use the API to build these reports. I have a question for you. And that is, so we've talked about like what are the things that you have found in these acquisition partner sites that you found surprising. Have you ever run into something? And the answer might be no. Have you ever run into anything where the target, I'm just going to say target. We know what we're talking about. They're not
We
targets.
know.
Okay, the target. Is there anything that you've shared with them that they were surprised about? For example,
Uh,
like they may come to the table and say like, yeah, we have, 30 employees and we're guessing around 200 assets. And then you do the thing and then you give them the results. This is what I'm going for here.
like it happened that they were surprised that there were so many things in end of life. Yes,
Oh,
it happened.
okay.
So they had no clue about their patching. So they probably thought that there was already an automatism behind patching,
Mhm.
but or maybe they thought that someone else was going to dismiss these assets, so they just forgot about them.
Right.
Um,
So
Actually,
like,
what happened once is that is a bit different from what you asked me
okay.
now. But anyway, it's a weird situation that happens kind of a lot also, is that because we said at the beginning, the next phase is migrations. So they will migrate part or all of their environment in our data centers or so on. And sometimes they answer back when we ask them to install runZero. They answered telling, this environment, this data center is going to be migrated in the next 2 months.
Hmm.
So why should we bother installing runZero?
Hmm.
And at the beginning, then we had our lessons learned. At the beginning, we were saying, okay, well, like we agree that this environment should be migrated in the next month. So if you have many things to do, we understand, and we can like postpone this. And in 1 month, we will see all your assets in our environments. Our sensors will find them, so it's okay. But then 1 month pass, 2 months, 2 months pass, and
Hmm.
then you see this delay keeps adding, adding, and adding.
Hmm.
And then at some point, you find yourself in a position when you don't even remember that there was this big data centers that is sitting there with nobody looking at it. And now we learned like there is no compromise, there is no exceptions. Even if something can be migrated in 1 week or 2 weeks, there is no exceptions. We need to have full view of your environment, and this is, I think, this is um, a big information that I will give to anyone: is do not postpone this phase, even
Yeah.
if something, even if you know that you will gain visibility in a short period of time, there is no reason to postpone because
If you have the opportunity today, take the opportunity today.
the installation is so easy
Yeah.
that like that there is not a high cost for you
Right. And it's
that
not
you
like you
put.
have to run around this whole like doomed environment, like installing a bunch of accounts or giving permissions to things or anything like that, right? Like you're dropping a sensor in essentially,
Exactly,
um,
exactly. It's
and
just
that's it.
spawning a new virtual machine and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't even need so many resources. So
Yeah. I mean, as our esteemed research engineer Rob King often says, like we have a very polite scanner. It is it is very courtly, and it won't go crazy on your network. That is the guarantee. We might have checks for I don't know 10,000 vulnerabilities or something, but if you don't pass the pre-check, we're not shooting 10,000 vulnerabilities across your network. We're shooting three. Like the ones that matter. And so yeah, there's virtually no cost there's virtually no network load associated with just dropping a sensor on the thing, even if the site is like you say, is doomed. And boy, oh boy, things that are about to get turned off, they really do have a tendency to never get turned off. Like that's almost the guarantee that it will never get turned off if everyone thinks it's going to be, especially if everyone thinks it's someone else's job to decommission things. Um, yeah,
Like
that's.
recently, I heard this motto in business management: "What gets measured get managed." And I really think that this fits perfectly with cybersecurity. You need runZero, a sensor like runZero, just to be able to measure all your perimeter. And
Mhm,
only after that, you will be able to manage it.
mhm, yeah. So, I think we're getting ready to wrap up. Um, if you have any questions, chat, get to typing. But otherwise, I'm going to start making thanks for joining noises. And so I'm just looking over my notes over here. I think we've covered it. Is there anything you wanted to say that I haven't like adequately prompted you on? Knowing full well that this is a runZero joint. If not, that's fine too. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I don't know. I don't have anything to add more. I think we said everything. I think we said
I think
enough.
we covered it, right? Like surprises are normal. Interesting, paradoxically, even like it's a weird way to think of it, but like anytime that you're in this merger and acquisition zone, you need to count on being surprised, right? Like that would be fair. The surprises get less emotional over time as you see them over and over again. But like count on surprises can't if you're acquiring like a smaller organization or company, or even if you're truly merging, like, well, oh man, what I want, Marco, is the case study of like true merger, right? Like, and both sides are running runZero, and or one
Each
side is running
other.
runZero, one side isn't, right? And is doing something else, and like, and then now you have like a very real world bake-off going on with, millions and millions of dollars on the line. That would be awesome. I want that right away. Um, but yeah, when you're acquiring these acquisition partners, like you should be treating them with respect, and you should be like, be understanding that they're smaller and they're probably less sophisticated than you, but still, you still have to do the job of like counting the things and like measuring exposure and measuring attack surface and all that. And then finally, like, boy, oh boy, a point and click. I think it's like a 6-step process total of like installing a runZero sensor, makes this kind of thing just like a billion times easier. A billion times, not guaranteed. That is an imprecise number. How about a zillion times easier? Well, hey, it's been truly a pleasure, Marco. I hope to get over to Europe in I think June for InfoSec Europe. If you happen to be in and around the Greater London area during that time, I hope we can hang out.
I will immediately write to my CISO asking for certificates.
And that goes for everybody in the chat. I love hanging out with folks when I go to these things. It's kind of why I go to these things. I like going to booths. I like going to other vendors' stuff and seeing what they're up to and asking them not jerky questions about their technology. So cool. Well, I think we're going to sign off here in just a moment. I've been Todd Beardsley. That has been Marco Strambelli. I'm from runZero. He's from TeamSystem. We've been talking M&A with runZero in your corner. So thanks so much, Marco.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Later.